In the chronicles of human conflict, certain battles stand out as harbingers of destruction, echoing through history with the thunderous footsteps of armies and the cries of nations. From the inferno of Stalingrad to the storming shores of Normandy, these clashes left scars on the world, altering destinies and shaping the course of civilizations. Join us as we unravel the gripping tales of the most destructive battles in history, the top 10 that shook the very foundations of our past. Brace yourself to witness the relentless fury of war, a spectacle that transcends time itself. Number 10. Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars, spanning from 1803 to 1815, were a series of conflicts that involved the French Empire and its allies against various European coalitions. Led by the ambitious and charismatic Napoleon Bonaparte, these wars marked a significant period of turmoil and transformation in European history. The Napoleonic Wars had a profound impact on the continent, as Napoleon sought to expand his empire and exert his influence over other nations. With his military genius and innovative strategies, Napoleon was able to achieve great victories, such as the Battle of Austerlitz and the Battle of Jena-Auerstedt. However, the wars also brought widespread destruction and loss of life. Ultimately, Napoleon's ambitions led to his downfall. The decisive defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 ended his rule and marked the end of the Napoleonic Wars. An estimated 3.56 million lives were claimed, a staggering toll that reverberated as a haunting legacy of a time when the world itself seemed to be at war.
Look now, sir! We're pinned in!
Number 9. The Second Congo War. The Second Congo War, also known as the Great War of Africa, was one of the deadliest conflicts in modern history. Lasting from 1998 to 2003, this war ravaged the Democratic Republic of Congo, claiming millions of lives and leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The war was primarily fueled by political and ethnic tensions, as well as competition over the country's vast natural resources.
Cobalt, coltan, uranium, gold and diamonds. The country possesses an abundance of natural resources.
Multiple armed groups, both domestic and foreign, were involved, leading to widespread violence and atrocities against civilians. The Second Congo War had a devastating impact on the region, exacerbating existing poverty and instability. It also involved neighboring countries, further complicating the conflict. Despite multiple peace agreements, the war continued to have a lasting impact, with ongoing violence and political instability in the region. The war's relentless grip unleashed an unprecedented storm of devastation, claiming an unthinkable toll of around 5.4 million lives. Number 8. The 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War, spanning from 1618 to 1648, was one of the most devastating conflicts in European history. It was primarily fought in the territories of modern-day Germany, but its repercussions were felt throughout the continent. The war was fueled by religious and political tensions between Protestant and Catholic powers, as well as struggles for territorial control and power. The 30 Years' War brought unimaginable suffering and destruction to the region. It witnessed widespread violence, famine, and disease, leading to the death of millions of people. It also saw the rise of new military tactics and technologies, such as the extensive use of mercenaries and the devastating impact of artillery. The war ultimately ended with the signing of the Peace of Westphalia, which established the principles of national sovereignty and religious tolerance. The toll reached a staggering estimate of 8 million lives, a somber symphony of loss that echoed across the ages. Number 7. The Chinese Civil War. The Chinese Civil War was a prolonged conflict that lasted from 1927 to 1949, and it had a profound impact on the history of China. The war was fought between the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the Chinese Nationalist Party, KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek. The war began as a power struggle for control of the country, but it soon evolved into a larger ideological conflict between communism and nationalism. The Chinese Civil War brought unimaginable devastation to the Chinese people. It witnessed large-scale battles, brutal warfare, and atrocities committed by both sides. Millions of Chinese soldiers and civilians lost their lives, and countless more were displaced or injured. The war ultimately resulted in the victory of the CCP and the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949. This marked the beginning of a new era in Chinese history, as the country embarked on a path of communist rule under the leadership of Mao Zedong. The Chinese Civil War was not only a struggle for political power, but also a battle for the future direction of China. Number 6. The Russian Civil War. The Russian Civil War was a devastating conflict that took place from 1917 to 1922, following the Russian Revolution. It was a bitter and brutal struggle for power between various factions, including the Bolsheviks, who eventually established the Soviet Union, and their opponents, known as the White Army. The war resulted in widespread destruction and loss of life, with estimates of casualties ranging from several hundred thousand to millions. It witnessed fierce battles, horrific violence, and atrocities committed by both sides. The Russian Civil War also had far-reaching consequences, not only for Russia, but for the world at large. It solidified the Bolsheviks' control over the country, paving the way for the establishment of a communist state. It also marked the end of the Russian Empire and the rise of the Soviet Union as a global power. Revolutions of 1917 proved to be a crucible of unparalleled suffering, claiming over 9 million lives, with a staggering 8 million being civilians caught in the crossfire. Number 5. The Dungan Revolt. The Dungan Revolt was a significant and destructive conflict that took place in China during the 19th century. This uprising occurred between 1862 and 1877 and involved the Muslim Dungan ethnic group and the ruling Qing dynasty. The Dungan Revolt began as a result of a series of political, economic, and social factors, including resentment towards the Qing government and tensions between the Han Chinese and the Dungan population. The conflict escalated quickly and led to widespread violence and devastation throughout the region. The Dungan Revolt had a lasting impact on Chinese society, as it resulted in the loss of countless lives, the displacement of communities, and the destruction of cities and infrastructure. This clash, pitting the Hans against the Huis, Chinese Muslims, unfolded as a tragic saga, leaving in its wake approximately 20 million war-related deaths. Number 4. World War I was a global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. It was one of the deadliest wars in history, with millions of lives lost and widespread destruction. The war was sparked by a complex web of alliances and tensions between major world powers. World War I saw the use of new technologies and tactics, such as trench warfare and chemical weapons, which resulted in unprecedented casualties. It also brought significant social and political changes, including the collapse of empires and the rise of new nations. The war's aftermath set the stage for future conflicts, with the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles contributing to the tensions that led to World War II. In the haunting arithmetic of war, 11 million were military personnel thrust into the maelstrom, while an unfathomable toll of 7 million civilians bore witness to the unprecedented horrors of the conflict. Number 3. The Qing Dynasty conquest of the Ming Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty conquest of the Ming Dynasty was a pivotal event in Chinese history. It took place from 1644 to 1662 and marked the end of the Ming Dynasty and the beginning of Qing rule. The conquest was led by the Manchu people, who established the Qing Dynasty and became the new ruling class in China. The conquest resulted in widespread destruction and loss of life, as well as the displacement of millions of people. It also brought significant political and cultural changes, as the Manchus imposed their own traditions and customs on the Chinese population. The Qing Dynasty conquest of the Ming Dynasty had a lasting impact on Chinese society, shaping its political, social, and economic landscape for centuries to come. Number 2. The Second Sino-Japanese War. The Second Sino-Japanese War, which took place from 1937 to 1945, was a brutal and devastating conflict between China and Japan. This war, often overshadowed by World War II, had a profound impact on both countries and the region as a whole. The Second Sino-Japanese War began with Japan's invasion of China and its ruthless campaign of aggression. It witnessed horrific acts of violence, such as the infamous Nanjing Massacre, where thousands of Chinese civilians and disarmed soldiers were brutally murdered by Japanese forces. The war brought unimaginable destruction to China, with entire cities reduced to rubble and countless lives lost. It also resulted in the displacement of millions of people and widespread suffering. Despite the Chinese resistance, Japan's superior military power allowed them to gain significant control over Chinese territory. It was not until the end of World War II, when Japan was defeated, that the war finally came to an end. This protracted struggle left an indelible mark, claiming the lives of 25 million civilians and over 4 million Chinese and Japanese military personnel. Number 1. World War II. World War II, one of the most devastating conflicts in human history, shook the world from 1939 to 1945. This global war involved major powers and witnessed unimaginable destruction and loss of life. It was marked by ruthless aggression, genocide, and the use of devastating new technologies. World War II was characterized by significant battles such as the Battle of Stalingrad, D-Day, and the Battle of Midway. It resulted in the death of millions of soldiers and civilians, the displacement of populations, and the collapse of empires. The war also led to major geopolitical changes, the establishment of the United Nations, and the dawn of the nuclear age. It was by far the deadliest conflict in history, resulting in 85 million fatalities. Millions died due to genocides, including the Holocaust, as well as starvation, massacres, and disease. As we conclude this journey through the chronicles of history, the echoes of wars past linger in the tapestry of our shared human experience. Each conflict, with its triumphs and tragedies, has shaped the course of nations and left an indelible mark on the collective memory of humanity. In bearing witness to the relentless struggles and sacrifices, may we find the wisdom to navigate a future where the echoes of war are replaced by the resonance of peace. Don't remember to like and subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay safe.